Hello folks, welcome back to the channel and thank you for being here. It really means a lot, guys, it really does. And today I've got to talk about this headset. I really have. It's so important, and please do pull up a chair because we've got a fair bit to get through. This is my full review and conclusion of the Pimax Dream Air Slam Edition. This is the flagship Dream Air, but with its own tracking solution. But there's more to talk about than just the fact this has inside-out tracking versus Lighthouse. There's a few more things to talk about, and let's get into this straight away. So here's the unboxing of the Dream Air Slam Edition. I won't bore you too much with the specs because if you've been watching this channel recently, well, I've already talked about this lots of times, but in a nutshell, this has a 4K Sony micro OLED display with a resolution of 3840 by 3552, I think. Refresh rates are 72Hz and 90Hz. And let's not muck around here. It has the very best PCVR visuals known to man right now. Nothing really comes close, apart from the Megan X. But the thing is, with this headset, it also has concave view pancake lenses, which are far better than that of the Megan X. They kind of remind me a bit of the Quest 3. That's massive praise, by the way, because the Quest 3 has the best pancake lenses I've ever tried, still, which is crazy, but making pancake lenses like that for micro OLED is incredibly hard. They're not perfect though, because they do have some glare, but really that's a non-issue for me. Because out of all of the micro OLED displays I've ever tried, this has by far the least amount of glare you've ever seen. Couple that with insane, beautiful colours and sharpness, it is a wonderful place for your eyes to be, folks. There is a huge difference between this and something like the Pimax Dream Air SE, or say, well, the up-and-coming Steam Frame even. I really don't have to try the headset to know that in terms of visual quality, the Sony 4K OLED display in this, with its decent brightness as well, fantastic contrast, is absolutely amazing. And me saying such things, I think, is even more poignant because I am very hard on Pimax, and as you've probably seen from my recent Dream Air SE video and review, it's not great. So if this wasn't very good, I will be telling you that, guys. Just because I'm very positive about a headset doesn't mean I'm suddenly a shill. Alright, I'll always tell you the full story, whether it's the best VR headset known to man or the worst. You will know on this channel, okay? Look at this scenery here, absolutely amazing. But when it comes to the Dream Air, these visuals are absolutely friggin' incredible. So that's it, tick in the box, job done. Visual quality, best in the business, without any shadow of a doubt, okay? So let's talk about other things, such as comfort and this cable here. Well, I've always said the splitter box is something that I friggin' hate with a vengeance with this headset. Well, that's still the same, unfortunately. They haven't changed it, although you might see, not sure if the camera will pick it up, I've got a very cool new mod which basically attaches the link box to the Apple Vision Pro head strap, which is also a mod that I've done for my Dream Air. Those two things alone are definitely a massive upgrade for this headset, as you'll see from this close-up footage. The Apple Vision Pro head strap does need some 3D printed adapters, and the actual link box holder is also a 3D printed design, although that is a paid option. I'll have a link in the notes below, but believe you me, it's absolutely worth every penny, because it's not just about getting that hot splitter box away from your neck, but that bit of weight from that splitter box is now up high and attached firmly to the headset, which means it feels even more comfortable. So yes, you do need to mod this headset, unfortunately. You'll also notice that I'm using a different facial interface. I know, folks, I know, it's terrible, isn't it? For a 2000 plus headset, well, you know, you still have to mod it, but these are definitely worth doing. This is the Flyboy's Gasket. He has a few different options out there. I'm using one of the closer versions. I think it's 3mm closer, I think it's called. And that gives me a field of view of, check this out, 112 degrees horizontal, and for some reason 92 I think it is vertical, which is a bit confusing because I think it only renders about 89. So probably that might be a slight error, I don't know. I'm using WinFov, which is very good usually, but in any case I'm getting really good field of view figures, but more importantly I'm getting absolute brilliant comfort. There's no pressure points at all, so I definitely would recommend the Gasket as well, using the Studio Form foam kits, which I do have a 5% discount in the description below. So yeah, quite a few mods to this headset. Bit of a pain really. It's a shame Pimax can't get it right, but in fairness, it's not just Pimax we're talking about here. Pretty much every single VR manufacturer out there, in fact I can't really think of any that have done it right, you do need to buy some accessories or, you know, 3D print your own to get it just right for you. This VR thing is incredibly hard to get right for everyone. But let me tell you, this is so comfortable, it really is, and I'll just show you again the splitter box with me wearing it. Now apologies, my hair at the moment is just absolutely inexcusably like messy and long. There's no excuse, so I'm going to do it this weekend. I've kind of let it go far too long. It's because it's so bushy and friggin' thick, so apologies for that footage there. I do need to have a shorter haircut for the summer, but it really is so comfortable, and the Apple Vision Pro strap I also feel looks perfect for this Slam Edition with its design. And talking of its design, that has now neatly got me into talking about the build quality, which I'm glad to say is far better for the Slam Edition, in my opinion. For whatever reason, anyway, maybe the feedback has got to Pimax in time, but the housing, the casing, and the way the sort of frontal housing is attached to this sort of grille is far better designed. It feels better made. I still feel it's not quite as premium as it should be. I'm thinking of the Play for Dream, for example, with its beautiful sort of brushed aluminium grille around the side, but it is good enough, and it makes the headset feel a lot better than at least the Lighthouse version I had. Now that's not to say that they haven't improved them anyway, because, you know, my unit when I first tried the Dream Air was basically a pre-production model. It had cracking issues, which I've told you about on this channel many times, but I think Pimax have now solved that issue, which is a relief. So let's talk about the tracking, because that's really one of the main differences as well. It's not just about the fact that the inside-out tracking means you don't need base stations, which I know for a lot of you is a big deal. It also means you can feasibly have hand tracking. I'll just show you a bit of footage now of me using the hand tracking. This is very early days for the Dream Air, but it must be said it's a very cool feature to have, and I might try it in X-Plane 12 soon to see if I can actually use it with the cockpit. It is very dependent on the lighting conditions, and it's experimental at the moment, but to be fair, hand tracking is a big deal and something that unfortunately the Lighthouse version won't have, simply because it is using those tracking cameras for the hand tracking. Talking of the inside-out tracking, you do get controllers with this. They are not the ringless controllers that was promised. Bit of a sticky point there. They should really honour that, especially for pre-orders, which I think they're doing. I'm not quite sure, so don't quote me on that. But in any case, these controllers, they do feel a bit cheap, you know, considering this is a 2,000 plus headset. You know, this is, you know, you're talking of quite a lot of money here, really. But I will say, it is quite a engineering feat, shall we say, for a small VR headset of this size to have really good tracking. I'm talking, I mean, this tracking is excellent. Look at this, look. I've got a friggin' wall here, and it's, look, it's not even moving at all. There's no jittering here. The jittering you're seeing is because I'm talking, obviously, with a VR headset on. You don't see that in a headset. And in terms of the actual tracking of the controllers, there's no issues at all. I have been using different games as well, such as Half-Life Alyx, After the Fall, a bit of Walkabout Mini Golf, and just look, the tracking is really good on this. Like, even looking down, that's one of the issues you find with inside out tracking. When looking down, you would think it'd be jittering. It's just not. It really isn't. So really, for me and for flight simulation purposes and for first person shooters, tracking is solid. Now, for competitive Beat Saber or for arrows, in fact I can try that now. You see, I'm right close. It starts to jitter a little bit, like I'm really like, actually no, that's, yeah, there, look, it goes a bit there. That's not an issue for me because I'm not going to be flying around with my hand right on my face. That would be a bit strange, but maybe for those who like to do bow and arrows, there's a little bit of tracking glitch in there. But for this channel's purpose, that is flight simulation, it is more than adequate. Now, even though this is more money than the Lighthouse version, you have to counteract that with the fact you don't need to buy base stations. And admittedly, base station tracking is becoming a little bit old-fashioned these days. And even though I personally prefer base station tracking when I want the best solution available, really, this is absolutely fine. You could argue, though, that SLAM tracking will have a slight bit of performance hit on your PC. If you're interested, folks, look at that road down there. Wow. If you're interested, I can do a comparison performance test between the Lighthouse version and the SLAM version, but I'd imagine there'll be hardly any difference at all. I'm testing it with a 5070 system and 4090 and 5090. I don't really notice any difference just going backwards and forwards. They may be a slight difference, but nothing to write home about in my opinion. So that's that. In terms of the software, I'm actually running a new version of Pimax called Pimax Evo, I think it is. And considering this is beta, gotta say software is solid as well. The eye tracking absolutely works out of the box. I mean, if I compare this to any other eye tracking solution out there, it is right up there. The Tobii eye tracking is really good. It's seamless. You don't need to calibrate it. In fact, in fairness, I haven't actually calibrated this headset's eye tracking and it's still working fine. What else? Well, I will say, obviously, the facial interface that comes with the headset is horrid. I hate it with a vengeance. It gives you a horrible red mark after, well, even 20 minutes to half an hour. Pimax are still going to honour a new facial gasket for all those who have purchased a Dream Air. I haven't tested it still. I still haven't got it, so I can't really comment too much. But my hunch is, I might be wrong, it's not going to be as good as Z Flyboy's gasket with the Studio Form foam, or even the Studio Form gasket and foam kit. So I would recommend going that way. I really would. So yeah, let's just recap then. The comfort, with a few mods, admittedly, is now perfect for me. I can be in this pretty much all day if I want to, with no issues at all. The lenses, visual quality of this headset are absolutely top tier. You are paying a lot for them, but these panels are extremely expensive. And can I just say as well, and I find this remarkable, as a VR reviewer, I obviously test VR headsets all the time as well as showing them on the channel. I've had now 3 Super OLED displays, 3 Dream Air displays, that's 6 4K Sony Micro OLED displays I've tested. Not one of them had any issues with dead pixels or any inconsistency with the panel. They are all as good as each other. They're perfect. I find that unbelievable. I've never ever had that before. Long-time viewers of the channel will know that I went through 6 Quest 3s before I found one without any dead pixels. And it goes without saying as well that other headsets that I've tried and tested, they all have varying degrees of issues with the panel. For example, the Megan X, I went through, I think, was it 2 or 3, I can't remember, Mark II Megan X's, and they all were slightly different. Interesting. But with this display, they are all perfect. So I think you're going to be very, very unlucky to get one with an issue, in terms of the display anyway. However, there is a big however here, Pimax, in terms of their quality control, are still far from where they need to be. And there are still issues out there, even with the Dream Air, sadly. They mainly focus on the cable and stem issue, where you'll get disconnections. I really hope that Pimax have solved that now, especially with the Slam Edition, because really, this headset, without any shadow of a doubt, is the best PCVR headset of 2026, and probably even 2027, and even maybe 2028 for those out there that want the absolute best VR visuals with this amazing form factor for this kind of thing, for flight simulation. I mean, if you want to do mixed reality, then this isn't the best VR headset. I'd recommend getting something like a Somnium VR1 if you've got deep pockets, or the Varia XR4, or even a Quest 3, actually. You know, this does not do mixed reality at all, so bear that in mind. But for everything else, this is absolutely fantastic, and this is my daily driver. It really is. Well, the Lighthouse version was, but I think this actually just makes it a bit better, just because I personally really like the better build quality. The SLAM tracking is surprisingly good enough. It really is, and you can do all, oops, I shouldn't have done that, but get the idea. You can use the controllers very, very easily. I do feel though they're a bit cheap feeling for this headset, but I am looking forward to trying the ringless controllers at some point. But look, they work fine, you know. They are a bit sort of old-fashioned with this ring design. I personally don't use the controllers that much, but I must admit, for accessing the virtual desktop, it is very useful. And with the new Pimax software, you can now record off the headset. You can have access to hand tracking with the Dream Air Slam, as well as many other features. Motion reprojection is still something that isn't that great. It's still hit and miss. They do need to sort that out. But with Pimax Evo, you will have access eventually to the S-Boy 3 driver, as well as maybe one from Matt, the OpenXR toolkit, which means you will have the best-in-class motion reprojection with Steam VR support. So really, this is becoming a very clever little VR headset, which can do and achieve many things. And these visuals, man, I'm still not used to them. The hype is true with this headset. It is phenomenal. And from someone who is extremely critical with everything Pimax does, and I will tell you the whole story, I wholeheartedly recommend the Slam Edition Dream Air. Now, in terms of performance, obviously the better GPU you have, the better this headset will be. But it's future-proofed, you know. I can't really see anything out there coming out that's going to beat this anytime soon. So if you do have a 4090, 4080, actually even a 4070 Ti Super would run this okay with DLSS 4.5. You'll be fine, even in MSFS 2024, because it's scalable. And I personally feel that even at sort of, well, 70-80% of the resolution, you've got eye tracking to help you out. It's still going to look really, really nice. The brightness of this is so much better than that of the Dream Air SE. So if you can stretch to it, I would recommend, in fact, I wholeheartedly recommend this headset. And you know, folks, I am very, very critical of Pimax, and I just hope they can get the quality control in order. You do have a 14-day return policy, and if you use my discount code, which I do have now for the Dream Air, you will be looked after if things go wrong. And I think really that's kind of it. This is a very easy turbulence going on here. Wow, this is a very easy headset to recommend. It just is, folks. The Pimax Dream Air Slam Edition. I absolutely adore it. I really, genuinely, hand on heart, cannot see anything beating this for a very long time to come. And if you see my recent Dream Air SE video, well, I think that will make this even more of a surprise to hear, because this is sensational. This is Pimax at their absolute best. It really is. And in terms of the warpiness of the display, if you don't like it, you have options for the S-Boy 3 driver, which is coming as well. For me, I actually prefer the Pimax driver. I know that surprises a lot of people because I get a much better field of view, and in terms of the warpiness, I don't find it an issue at all. And all that's left to say really for me is congratulations to Pimax, because credit where credit is due, this is the one to get. Thanks for watching as always, really appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care, and bye for now.